In this session, we are going to talk about creating geographic visualizations in Tableau. And we can understand how easy it is to create a geographical visualization. There is a built-in database, built-in geographic database within Tableau. The advantage of this database is any field that generally resembles some kind of a geography. For example, the country or state, right, or zip, any of these fields that resembles a country in some form or the other, it tried to define the latitude and longitude for them. So that is a part of the built-in database of Tableau. Right? So generally for good number of countries, states, cities, zip codes, the latitude, longitude are already built in. But if you really feel that whatever it has given is not appropriate, then it has even given the kind of a flexibility where you can assign your own values of latitude and longitude so that they can be presented on a map correctly. So instead of generated values, you can use your own values also if they are there. But if they are not there based on the city, state, etc., there could be a mapping to the geography that is done by the tool. And if we look at in general, majority of the databases, they strictly don't define the geographical fields. But Tableau has done that. So based on the field name, if your field name is country, state, city, etc., there is some kind of an assignment of a geographic value, which is the latitude and longitude. But if you want, you can assign a geographic role to any of the variables. And you can even remove the geographic role that Tableau has assigned by default to a couple of fields. You can remove them also, even that kind of a flexibility that it has given. So finally, two things driving the geographic visualization of Tableau. One is the power of the database, and two is the flexibility associated with it, where you can create your own geographic reference, or even you can remove the geographic reference associated for each. So again, you can do as much of advanced visualization as well, but what I want to cover in this session is mostly predominantly the basic foundations of geographic visualization. Obvious that any geographic visualization is more and more valuable if I really want to understand where are my customers coming from, where is the maximum sales happening, where are the let's say for our coffee example, where are the sales more, where is the profit more, if I want to understand all those things, which is what we call as spatial relationship. I am trying to understand spatial relationship. This is where the geographic visualization really comes more and more handy. And when it comes to Tableau, there are two such kind of preliminary geographic visualization that it is supporting. One is called as a field map. The other one is a symbol map. We'll look at both of them, right? How does each one of them really help us in understanding the big picture of our data? So when it comes to the field maps, there are lots of field areas that are there as a part of the Tableau database, especially based on country, state, zip code. There are lots of field areas here which represent the location. So each of these areas is filled with a different color based on whatever the measure or a dimension that I choose. The filling will happen with an appropriate color. So that's the typical strategy behind a filled map. Especially if I have to go back to our example, if we look at the profit analysis that we have done in our earlier sessions, we have done the profit analysis, let's say by market, by product. So where by dimension, basically, by regular dimensions. In that case, here these dimensions, if you look at, they are basically categories. So for that we have used we have used different kinds of bar charts. It could be a horizontal or a vertical bar. Whereas the same profit analysis we have done over time. When we have done over time, we have used a line chart. Now the same profit analysis I want to do over geographies. And this is where I can use either a filled map or a symbol map. Now let's get into that kind of a profitability analysis. So let's open our Tableau database again. Okay, so here I create a new sheet, and within the sheet, probably this time let me rename it as Geo Visualization. Geo Visual is the name that I am giving to it. Simple thing. Wherever I want a map, if you look at here, there are two dimensions that are marked as map. Area code is marked as a map, that geography, globe kind of stuff. State is also marked with a geography. And because there are two fields here which are geography related, here it has generated the latitude and longitude for them. Right? Now, simple thing. If I double click on the state, let's say I want to do a state-wise filling for my profits. So I double click on the state. Yes. Okay. So there is some kind of filling that has come. Right. I have double clicked on the state. I have got some kind of a filling. And this time what I can do is I drag. Now you see the states are marked. Right, all the states whatever are there in my data, they are typically marked. Now simply I drag the profit from here to the color. Now suddenly this got changed into a filled map, and what you could clearly see is where the numbers are higher, it is marked with very dark color, and where the numbers are lesser, where the profit is lesser, it is marked with a light color. You could clearly see across. Right, where the profits are higher, marked with dark colors. So probably this is the state California, where the profit is much higher, marked with a dark green kind of a color. Probably even this side Illinois towards the east also is having a similar kind of a pattern, much darker. Whereas on the other side we see more and more lighter, New Mexico here, which is having a much lesser profit towards the south, which is being marked with a light color. So you could clearly see an identification that is happening with the filling out here. So each state is filled with a slightly different color, which is purely an indication of the relative sum of the profit for each state. So it's a relative profit for each state. So the ones where the profit is lesser, they are identified with a lighter color. The places where the profit is higher is marked with a darker color. Right? So this is the state with the least, and probably this is the state with the strong highest kind of a profit. And now if you see, only the states where there are some values, only they are displayed. The other states, now this coffee shop is not there in North Dakota or South Dakota, right? It's not there in Kentucky, it's not there in West Virginia, it's not there in Pennsylvania. So it's not there in many of the places. Now, where it is not there, it has not shown any kind of a highlighting, right? So it is not observing, it is not marking all the states. Only a geographic coloring is done where the data exists. So otherwise it has a filter in itself, right? It will not consider them for coloring purpose. Even as a part of the data, if you yourself have filtered out some kind of a data, even that would not be considered as a part of the marking process. So because there are only around 20 states, only the filling happened only for 20 states, not for all of them. Otherwise, for remaining, it's simply the background image only. Now, this is what we call as a filled map. So with different kinds of interactive dashboards, these filled maps really help us. They have some kind of aesthetic value as well. But so with this kind of filled maps, some kind of analysis is difficult. What is that? If I really want, okay, here the California is showing with a dark green, right? Now, this is not a representation of the size, right? This is the area of California and the whole California is filled with the same color. So, here I cannot use the size of the fill. I cannot use the size of the fill to typically communicate anything. It is the size of the geography that is getting filled. It's not. It has nothing to do with. It has nothing to do with any value. The big value, the whole geography is highlighted with the same color, right? So here the size does not talk about the size of the profit. So here I cannot directly make out which state is having the highest profit, except with the color. With the size I can't. Probably if there is a small state which has made a highest profit, what this shows is, okay, for this small value only the dark green color will show and the whole other area will be highlighted with lighter colors, and it's very difficult for me to make out which is the state that has highest profit. So I have to really use the filled maps with caution, because I cannot really do a size-wise analysis using the filled map. So better that I pair it up with some other kinds of visualization so that I can do the communication much better. But yeah, trying to understand what a visual map can really, what a filled map, what a geographic visualization can really do to us. Then the other kind of geographic visualization that really plays an important role in our analysis is the symbol map. Here the region is not filled, but corresponding to that latitude longitude intersection, we would be placing different kinds of shapes and symbols, probably triangles, circles. At that particular location, we are placing these kind of shapes and symbols, and here we can differentiate, okay, the size of the shape, size of that shape indicating something, the color of that shape can indicate something. So we can even bring in additional dimensions and measures to differentiate that shapes by size and color. Simple logic. Let's say instead of the state here, let's say I want to do area wise. We have area code also, right? Area code, I really want to do an analysis area code wise. Okay, so from here I'm bringing the area code into the detailed shell. The moment I brought the area code, you see that now state is no more present. it has converted into a symbol map. Because again there is a built-in intelligence. Now it's no more state, different area codes mapped to different geographies. So there is a different set of areas that are being represented. Now, so once this is a kind of a symbol map. The outline of the map will still remain the same, but the points are represented with symbols. Okay, so at the latitude and the longitude intersection, all the symbols are mapped. Now let's say these are my profits. Okay, but what I'm more interested in looking at is, let's say, sales across each of these locations. So sales I want to really show with, instead of profits out here, I want to show the sales. Okay, I'll pull the sales onto the size. I want the size of the circle based on the sales. So what you could see, there are some circles which are much bigger, where the sales is much higher, and some circles which are much smaller, where the sales appear to be much smaller. So the size of the circle is representing the size of the sales. The size of the circle is representing the amount of the sale. So additional analysis is coming out. So I can very well identify, now the color is talking about profit, right? The intensity of the color. Intensity of the color is talking about profit, and the size of that circle is talking about the sales. So big light circles, big and light colored circles, something like this. Sales is much higher, but profit is much lesser. Right? But this is a big and a dark circle. But this is a big and a light circle. So big and light circle is something like, I have more sales there, but the profit is much lesser. Small and dark, right? This kind of a circle. My sales is much lesser, but profit is much higher. Small and dark. Small and dark kind of circles, which you might find more in this California region, they are an indication of smaller sales but higher profits. So you could clearly make out those kind of areas which are having high sales, low profits, low sales, high profits, all the kind of combinations. And I should not represent the profits with the size, because if the profit is negative, then there is no meaning to that size also. So, but here it's giving me a two-prong. The color is showing me the profit, and the size is showing me the sales. So it is helping me in doing a two-pronged analysis directly. Right? So this is how we can take the advantage of the symbol map. So it is actually allowing us to use the size to really visually encode the data. Different aspects of the data are getting encoded based on the size. That was not the feature as a part of the filled map. The whole state got filled, and the size of the fill has no indication to the size of the data. It is the size of the geography that got filled. So the symbol map is giving me more and more precision, and because it's not filling the whole state, it's filling actually the exact location of our area. So if at all we have latitude and longitude in our data, vary to the very clear precision, we can very well plot the things even to the street address kind of a level. Right? So especially for those kind of states where this much of boundaries do not exist, or city level where the boundaries are not existing and field map cannot be created, symbol maps become more and more handy. So this is the kind of data visualization that you can do using the geographic data like countries, states, cities, etc. And Tableau provides us a very simple way of visualizing these kind of scenarios. All right. So thanks a lot for listening to this session. Thank you very much.